everyone. Welcome to At Home with Sally. I'm Sally Clarkson, and I have the biggest privilege in the world to be with so many friends from all over the world who join me every week to listen to my stories, inspiration, biblical encouragement, and I am just so glad that you're here today. Thanks so much for joining me. Why, hello, my friends. Happy Tuesday to you. Happy Tea Time Tuesday. I hope that you will grab a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, whatever your drink of choice is, that you will maybe light a candle and sit in a chair and just rest for a few minutes. I'm hoping, praying that my podcast today will be of great encouragement to you. I've been so encouraged by the notes, the emails, the messages, the letters that I get from so many of you who have been enjoying different parts of what we do in our ministry with our podcasts and our social media and our posts. And I just want to thank you so much for all of your letters and your requests. I'm so sorry I can't always answer every single one of them or do all of the requests that people have of me, but I just feel so blessed to have you as friends. So thank you so much. Lots going in the next few weeks. I think I put out a little email to people who had signed up for the Colorado Springs meetup, Mom Heart Meetup. We have a wonderful membership that we do that I'll mention at the end of the podcast that comes out every month, where people get book recommendations and art and different studies and different recipes and lots and lots and lots of my old discipleship podcasts. And so thank you for all of you who have been joining and supporting our ministry that way, because you help us pay our staff and pay for reprints and pay for our books and pay for me just to be able to be online and do all of the things I do by becoming a member at Life with Sally. So I want to thank you for all of you who have participated in that. You are essential to us being able to keep going. Well, I'm going to be doing Mom Heart meetups with the people who are part of my membership in Colorado on September 7th, and that will be at Holy Trinity Church at 9:30 in the morning. It's my church that I go to. Excuse me, my Anglican church that I go to, and you can hear more about it by going to the place where our community shares thoughts and ideas, and so on the forum on my Life with Sally. And then also, hopefully, there are many of you who have found out because you came to one of the events at my house last year. We will have lots of fun. Then I will also have another meetup at Nashville at Wild and Free. We had a fun time last year. If you were there last year, it's going to be at the same big lobby area in a hotel in downtown Nashville. And that information will also be in the forum. And then maybe you can help me. I'm looking for a time and some kind of place to be able to meet at the Wellness Collective, where I'll be speaking in Pennsylvania. And that has yet to be decided on what day. But we're going to have a lot of fun. At those times, I answer questions, we speak, we talk, we have fun, we share together, and it's really just a way of people getting to know each other a little bit better. Well, I wanted to share a few things with you that I've been finding this week, which has really kind of been fun. I do love to grow every single week. I mean, by grow, I love to be able to learn new things. I love to be able to stretch my mind and to be able to get a better context in the world and on people. And so I hope that you're doing that too. And in doing so, I ran across some really fun things. One of my friends sent this to me. It's so important. Many of you are Charlotte Mason followers, and Clay and I always called it Rhythms and Discipleship in our own sort of books that we wrote. But I think that it's the small, tiny habits that you have every day, the things that you do every single day that really add up. And if you can get a few habits in your life and a few traditions, we call them rhythms because they were just the heartbeat of what we did every day, you will be amazed at what you can accomplish in a lifetime. And I saw this, and these are things that if you do it in a year, you'll be amazed at the consequences. First of all, let's say that you saved $8 every day. Maybe you didn't get that sandwich out or something else that would cost about $8 a day. That would be a savings in your savings account of $3,000 a year. So just a little bit of savings every day ends up being a much greater amount later on. That would be a nice little nest egg for a vacation or something. If you read just 20 pages a day, you will accomplish having read 30 adult fiction or nonfiction books a year. If you read 10 pages a day, you'll read 15 books a year. You can accomplish a lot by doing just a little. That's what my son Nathan does. He reads every single day for about 15 minutes, and he gets about 25 books done a year. If you walk 10,000 steps per day, it's equal to 70 marathons per year. I am happy at this point to walk 3 miles a day because I'm not in my Oxford vicinity at this moment, and there's not as many places to walk to. I spend my whole time walking in Oxford, which you will see many pictures of in my new book, Well Lived. And so it was easier for me to get my 10,000 steps there. But here, I'm happy if I get 3 miles a day, between 7,000 and 8,000 steps a day. But just imagine, that's like doing 70 marathons a year. Way to go, friends. And then there are just so many more things like that. If you read just 5 minutes of Scripture every single day of your life, you would have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of verses that had the ability to affect your thinking, your mind, and your heart. So think about the small things that you are doing this week and today. I've been thinking about something else. I had the most wonderful salad the other day, and I mention salads a lot because I do love salads and greens and so on, but this was a salmon salad, and they had roasted the salmon. It was really great. And then it had a mixture of different kinds of lettuces, greens, and then they had chopped up little tiny onions into little tiny pieces, sprinkled blueberries, sprinkled pecans, and feta cheese, and they served it with blue cheese or Caesar dressing with olive oil on the side. So I'm telling you, if you want a healthy, beautiful, wonderful splurge salad, do this salmon salad. It would be lots of fun. Have a specific friend over, or serve it to somebody in your family who loves salmon. My husband loves salmon. All right, I've been thinking about this. Are all of you, or are many of you health nuts like I am? I have. I've been a health nut since many, many years ago, probably the most avid health nut when I was in my 40s, because you start slowing down a little bit and you start noticing things in your body that are different than they were when you're 20. And now at 70, I'm even more compulsive about studying about health. And I want you to know I'm not a doctor. I'm not any kind of a licensed health advisor. But I've had the most interesting articles lately about your brain. My mom and my dad both had dementia, and so did Clay's mama. And so I like to read about what kinds of things are good for your brain. And screens are bad, I just want you to know. And I spend a lot of time on screens because I do a lot of typing in my podcasts and everything else. So I try to counteract that, the bad things that I'm doing. But anyway, just know that screens, being on your phone, your eyes staring, it's a little bit difficult for your brain to access its potential when you have that going on in your life. So do something every day to challenge your brain. The funny thing is Joy, my daughter who lives in Scotland, who's moving to London, she does Wordle every day, Wordl, and it's a kind of a challenging game for words that makes you think and interact with different ideas and guess different things. So look up Wordle, and she sends it to my husband Clay every single night before she goes to bed. And this is really enhancing their brain. It is not enhancing my brain because I don't do it. But the thing that I am doing is I have a background in 4 different languages, in English, in Polish, in German, and Spanish. But I have taken up new language learning. You can get so many different apps. I'm not going to recommend one over the other right now. But every day I'm doing a little bit of German to refresh my German language and my German understanding. And I'm doing a little bit of Spanish because those are the languages that I could best speak next to English. But having to access new knowledge, new information, learning how to do new things. I think I told you before that I learned that when you dance to music around the house, in other words, when you're exercising by way of dancing, which we do a lot around here, especially in the snowy times, even 7 minutes a day helps decrease your potential for dementia. Well, I'm also a person of brain food. And so I've been thinking lately about some of the foods, and I've been actually studying some of the foods. Did you know that honey, you should read about this. Read Honey Plus Dementia and look it up on whatever search engine you use. But honey has this incredible ability to work in your brain systems so that you can memorize more words, access more vocabulary, and it even has a healing effect on some of the damage that has been done to your brain in its lifetime. So look up any article that you can find on honey and dementia. It's really been interesting. So, of course, I now travel with little honey straws because I use honey instead of sugar when I want a little bit of sweetener in my tea or coffee. And that's been a real fun find for me. Another thing is olive oil. Obviously, some people believe in taking a spoon of olive oil and just eating it right down in the mornings, or just being sure that they put olive oil on salads or other things during the day. Olive oil helps fight against dementia, and it reduces some of the plaque that stores up in your brain. And, of course, things like blueberries, which I eat every morning in my little shake that I make. I get frozen blueberries, a banana, and then I put kefir. Some people call it kefir, and I guess I've been influenced by some of my European friends, and some people call it kefir. So anyway, I make a little shake every single morning along with my tea time, and all of those things fight against dementia and help strengthen your brain. So I thought you might want to know about that. Now today, I'm going to be reading to you some tidbits, some bits and pieces from my new book, Well Lived, because I think it's relevant right now. I think that as I look out on the subculture and the culture that I'm involved in here in Colorado Springs and then also internationally, I realize that a lot of women feel lost because they've never understood what it means to own their own legacy, to own their own story, and that God actually created us to have a dominion over which we rule. When in Genesis 1, we see that the first thing out of God's mouth, as I've said before, was blessing. He said, and he blessed them, and he said, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it. And when you look at your life, and we're going to be talking about this a little bit today as I read some of these passages to you, but when you look at your life, God has created you with your own unique personality, which means you will have preferences that are different from everyone else, values that are shaped in different ways, but you also have a backstory. Your backstory might be that your parents were painters or artists, or that you moved a lot, so you knew a lot about many different cities, or music in your background, or maybe you had a very difficult background and it created an interest in you to become a counselor so that you could heal and so that you could help people heal, whatever it is. That, all of these things, your story, your background, your personality, the places you've lived, all go to create part of your domain. Another part of your domain, or the dominion over which you rule, is are you married or single? Or do you have children, and how many children do you have? Do you have a job? Do you have a neighborhood? Do you have a church? As you look at all of the details of your life, that is the domain over which you are called by God to rule. This is the story that you write. And I just want to read a little bit of something that was in my post yesterday, but also a place that I think might actually be something that you want to think about. A lot of people have really liked it, so I'm going to read that as well as another couple of passages, because I want you to think about some of the things that are said in here. And this isn't from my book, Well Lived, which I'm going to be going through some of the highlights of it over the next 8 weeks, because I think I want to inspire women to think about what legacy. Are you leaving a legacy of wisdom, of grace, and so on and so forth? Every woman has the potential to embrace her own story, to become queen over her own domain, to work hard to leave a legacy of wisdom, love, gratitude, and grace. Women are amazing creatures and have the ability to civilize the world, to influence generations by generously pouring out love, training the very character and souls of the next generation, persevering through great trials and challenges while coming out resiliently. And I'm going to read you a little bit more, but what you need to know is my children, and you'll read about this story in the book, but how in the world did I come by the grandmother name of Queenie? And it's really been fun to live into that, because my grandchildren call me Queenie, and they think of me as a queen. I'm kind of a queen bee for them. But the story comes from Lark Rise to Candleford, a series that was first a series of books and then became a PBS series of beautiful stories. And Queenie was the person who, in this very beautiful, wonderful village, kind of sat on the top of the hill, and she disseminated, she brought about beauty and wisdom and advice and encouragement and the best recipes to all of the people that were in her village. She was ruling over the dominion of her little village. She was living in to her ability, and that's why they called her Queenie, because she was a matriarch of sorts of the village. And so I loved that picture, but really what was interesting is that Sarah and Joy both separately came up with that name for me. They said, you should be called Queenie. You should be called the queen of your domain, Mama. And so I'm going to be sharing with you just a few more thoughts about that idea today. Historically, a good queen brought about a life-giving influence as she considered herself a steward responsible for the long-term prosperity and flourishing of those who were within her realm. You have a dominion, or a control, an influence over those who are in your realm. Her significant role affected the legacy of her life, the story she would leave, the heritage she would leave to those who she especially loved. It also influenced the legacy of her family, her community, and world, and in rare times a queen gave herself to the full task of all that had been entrusted to her. Being a steward over human beings can have great impact over generations if the faithfulness and generosity of the queen is purposely focused and lived out over a lifetime. Hang with me here. I'm going to turn the page for a second. Learning and understanding that every woman has the potential to embrace her own story, to become queen over her domain, to work hard to leave a legacy of wisdom, love, gratitude, and grace, emerged as a message in my life while I walked through the parks and meadows in Oxford. I wrote in my journal, "Women, I believe, are amazing creatures and have the ability to civilize the world, to influence generations by generously pouring out love, training the very character and souls of the next generation, and persevering through great trials and challenges while coming out resilient." And I will read this part as well because it was in Proverbs. I think that it's really interesting that Proverbs 31 is about a good woman who can find. And I think it's so good for us to remember this, to remember these challenges. In the next podcast, next Tuesday on Tea Time Tuesday, I'm sharing with you some ideas that a friend and I discussed. I think that sometimes because motherhood is so imminent, prominent, it comes upon us, and we're so concerned with what we are going to do in the lives of our family, our children, what choices we will make, what provisions will we look into to give them the best in perhaps education or faith training or musical training or experiences in life or learning how to do chores. And so we think about that first 20% of their lives that will encompass the rest of their life. But really, we only have access to our children directly in our homes for about 15 to 18 years, and then they'll live many more decades after that. So we need to kind of keep a perspective long term. And my friend and I are going to be sharing with you what we have learned, not just as mothers, but also as mothers of adult children, as women who have many, many years to be productive after our children have left the home. Because I think that even if you look at your children, like if I had known that my children were going to encounter the kinds of trials and temptations that they did, I would have refocused my role as a mother, as a queen, so to speak, when they were younger, over those issues that would prepare them for life. It's so easy to be caught up in what you think is, quote unquote, the schooling or the education, without realizing I am shaping perhaps a world leader who will need to have the kind of strength and character and courage that they will be able to fight battles of ethics, to fight battles of virtue, to fight for battles of truth in their generation, because we have focused on giving them a self-image and a vision for what their long-term life can be. And as I look at my role as a queen, so to speak, and I kind of actually came to this many years ago when I was reading an assortment of books, which I'm going to tell you about. But I think that the more I understood that my role was to be significant, a significant power and influence in my family, as was Clay's role. And one of the words that I love that kind of gets to this whole area is a woman can become, in a positive way, a matriarch. A matriarch is a strong female figure in the organization of family life. And a matriarch is a queen figure who sees that she has the ability to bring in beauty, to bring in excellence, to bring in holiness, to bring in sacredness, to bring in relational foundations of love. And so there's no end to what you might, as a woman in your lifetime, accomplish for the kingdom of God if you perceive your life as a queen, a queen over a dominion. And again, I think that's what God had in mind when He said, he blessed Adam and Eve, and he said, subdue. That means bring order to that which was disordered, to bring light into darkness, to bring organization into chaos, to bring peace into discord. And so there are so many ways that we have this ability, this power, this calling, this very design. We were called to worship God with our mind. We can subdue words in our home and messages. And we can read and become excellent in our thinking that others might draw truth and wisdom from us. Love the Lord your God with your heart. So we bring into our heart, we learn to love the things that are good and excellent and true. Whatsoever things are good, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are pure and lovely and of good report, think on these things. So we bring in the heart for people, the heart for what matters in life, the heart for being righteous in an unrighteous world. Heart, soul. Our soul is what is a combination of faith and the beauty that we arrange in our homes, the traditions we keep, the meals we make, the flowers we plant, the nursing that we give to comfort people. There are aspects to our lives where we get to rule over our domain and bring order and subdue them. And so I just love this picture in Proverbs that kind of gets to some of the aspects of this. It's a never-ending learning ability that you access your potential and your power as a matriarch, as a woman who has power and influence and goodness and strength and courage to give to her family, to her home, to her domain, to the people who visit and come to her home. So the book of Proverbs in the Bible hails the wondrous attributes of women. Proverbs 31:10 even says, her worth is far above jewels. And that's you and me. It's not some kind of old-fashioned list where there's so many things to do you feel overwhelmed by looking at the list. It's a scope. We could do this, or we could do this, or we could. It's kind of like when you're planning your vacation and you think of all the possibilities of ways that you could exhibit that. Proverbs 4:5-9 talks about the many blessings of getting wisdom. Get wisdom. Get understanding. Do not forget my words or turn away from them. Do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. The beginning of wisdom is this. Get wisdom. Though it cost you all you have, get understanding. Cherish her, and she will exalt you. Embrace her, and she will honor you. She will give you a garland to grace your head and present you with a glorious crown. And the whole reason that I put that in the book and that I've been talking in the book today, and even the whole book, is some things you've heard before. I might have even mentioned that I was just talking to somebody else on a podcast, so I don't remember exactly what I'm saying here. But I want you to understand that someday you will be 70 and you will look back and see that all of the things that you believed, that you held fast to, that you kept going with, the child you kept loving, the marriage you kept fighting for, the ways that you kept holding fast to your faith in God when you didn't feel like it because you were kind of wondering what was happening in the world. That's what this is about. Gain wisdom, get wisdom, follow wisdom, do what it says, because you are a queen, you have a domain, you have a place where you can live and exhibit all of these things in your life. And does it mean that life will be easy? Absolutely not. And I even talk about that in the book, how even to cultivate delight during your dark seasons. But it does mean that we have been created by God, designed with a role to play that has authority and has beauty and has our own imprint. We get to be ourselves and will truly be a purposeful way for us to feel like our lives weren't wasted, they weren't floundered, but they had meaning from the beginning of time. So, my friends, I'm real excited about the messages, and so I hope that you will just think about that. There's a book that I read many years ago, and it was a really, it was just a real fun book to read at the right time. And you've heard me talk about Elizabeth Goudge before. But the book that I'm talking about, and just a minute, I'm having some problems right now with my computer. Just a second. I will be right back. It is a book that I read by Elizabeth Goudge, and it was the first book that I read years ago, and it is called Pilgrim's Inn. And it's a book about this woman, this grandmother, this elderly woman who kind of played a matriarch position. She helped shape the family after they'd been scattered in different places of the world, where the house had gotten older and things had fallen apart a little bit. And she brings together this family in a healthy way of redeeming and giving grace to the story that they would end up telling. And I loved it because it's about home and history and family and stories and brokenness and redemption. And it just was one of my very first books of hers that I read, and I thought that would be a good book to mention today. Well, my friends, a couple of more things I wanted to say. I am so grateful for all of you. So many of you have been in my life and helped me over many, many years in my launches. And so I just wanted to read today a portion of what I am sending out today in an email to all of you who have signed up for my email list. My email, by the way, if you want to receive this, you can go to sallyclarkson.com and sign up for my email list, because we're going to be sending out a whole bunch of fun things in the next few weeks. But I'm going to end with this quote in this part of the podcast with this quote. Every day of your life, you have the potential of leaving a godly model to follow, a kingdom message to believe, an integrity that is holy, and a purpose that is eternal. God has allowed you the opportunity to touch eternity with your life by giving these gifts to those children He has entrusted into your hands. Live into your legacy, and you will change your world forever. From my book, Well Lived. And so I wanted you to know that I am putting together, and this is shorter than I usually do it, but for those of you who want to be involved in my launch, it's a little bit different this year. You can either do it through my membership at lifewithsally.com. And when you join the membership, it's mainly the easiest way to support Whole Heart Ministries, which is what Clay and I do, to support our books, our ministry, our staff, our podcasts. And we're going to have a special place where my members can get all the information and leave comments and be a part of the launch group there. And we're also going to be sending out a newsletter to everybody who's on my email list who want to be involved in the launch in some small way. Even if you just share when you see a poster, or when you see this post come out, or when you see a picture, when you see a quotation from it, if you share it, that is the easiest way for many women to get the messages of this book. They see a picture, they see a book, and always link it to a well-lived book. But anyway, I'd be honored if you would think about joining me. We're going to, for the next 8 weeks, you'll receive a weekly email with a special launch team task, a simple task like leave a review or share one post this week, and an opportunity, if you do this, to win one of the gifts. We're going to be sending out so many fun things. We have some tea time gifts, some English gifts, and also I'm going to be giving away a 1 or 2 tea times with me. You can bring your friends. You can do a Zoom call with me for a tea time for a short period of time, like 30 minutes or an hour. We can just visit on the phone with a cup of tea, and I will be with you, answer your questions, just to be friends. So that's one of our giveaways. But if you join the team, you can do one of the assignments or all of them, and it's just going to be easy over the next few weeks. So if you join sallyclarkson.com, you will get an email today telling you how to do that. So I appreciate that. And every single week, people send me letters, lots of letters, about how do we join your membership? What is a membership? A membership is a place where every month we send out, I always have a video that I send out. I have a Bible study that I teach every month. We have a wonderful list of many books on the subject that we might be studying that month, children's books that you get to see, and applications of character or farmers or weather or whatever. A lot of people just use this as the primary source of what they do in their read aloud times. And all you need to do is go to lifewithsally.com and join us. And then you'll automatically get to see what the launch team inside of my membership is doing. I don't ever want anyone to feel obligated to do any of these things. But for those of you who are touched by the Lord to support us by that, in that way, to join our membership, that helps us to stay alive in what we're doing. And we just really appreciate you. And also, we've been so encouraged by people joining lately. Anyway, I hope that this has made sense to you today. I pray for you that in this kind of senseless world, this chaotic, dark world, that you will know how important you are, that you will know that your life, your faith, your love, it does matter so much. Even if your children are not in the most grateful stage of life, they will remember you are making an imprint on their lives. Or maybe it's a friend next door. Maybe it's someone you're choosing to disciple or help or bring a meal to. You're giving for the sake of God. You're subduing your world. You're ruling over your domain by being strategic within the days of your life matters so much. Dear Heavenly Father, I am so grateful that I learned some of these things. So I learned them over time. I learned them while failing. I learned them in the midst of a normal life with 4 very young children. And yet I am so grateful, Lord, that I was able to see from your Spirit that family matters, people matter, motherhood matters, discipleship matters, ministry matters. And that when we love you with our whole heart and you fill our souls and our hearts with words and with desire to bring light to the world, that we are fulfilling the great design that you created women for from the beginning of time. I pray that you will give strength to the weary of my friends today. I pray that you will give grace to those who need grace, Lord, and who need understanding and forgiveness and compassion. I pray that you will give great ideas and great energy for those who are raising these precious little ones who never sleep. And I pray that you'll give extra patience and long-suffering and gentleness to those who are dealing with a difficult personality, either in a teen or a young child, or maybe even a spouse. Lord, help my precious friends to have a sense of your comfort, of your companionship today, and cause us to have so many stories to tell one another when we see each other face to face, that we will be delighted in what you accomplished in our very humble and normal lives. We love you, Lord, and we need you, and we're so grateful for your light and beauty and purpose. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, my friends, have a really wonderful week, and I look forward to connecting with you next week. I'm real excited about some of the pictures that we got to share for the internet and for our posts in the next few weeks. They're really fun. They were pictures that are from my life and from the book. Have a great week. Bye-bye. I hope you've enjoyed our time together today and that you'll join me next week. Be sure to look for more inspiration on my blog at sallyclarkson.com. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.